The Mariners finally have an off day, and boy, do they need it. Our thoughts on the last two games and their upcoming series with the Guardians coming up. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is Thursday, April 6th, 2023. This is Trident Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. Subscribe, like, and turn on alerts if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform if you like what you hear. And if you want to hear from us even more, please consider signing up for our Patreon by scanning the QR code right above my head. The link, as well as our social accounts, is also in the description below. On the show today, we'll be reviewing the last couple games for the Mariners and previewing their upcoming series with the Guardians. But Colby, let's start on a positive note after the Mariners lost yesterday 4-3 and talk about the game on Tuesday where they blew out the Angels by a score of 11-2. We haven't talked since that game. Teoscar Hernandez with a couple of home runs, AJ Pollock with a couple of home runs. Luis Castillo was brilliant once again. It's a really fun night, right?
Yeah, it's a good reminder of what this team can be when everything clicks. It's obviously, the 4 home run thing is not going to happen most nights, but it does show that this lineup can be deep, it can be explosive, and they can hit, mediocre pitching, which, doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you consider how many just awful at bats they had against, the back end of Cleveland's rotation and what they did the night before, where Detmers wasn't all that sharp and he left them, plenty of pitches to hit and they just really couldn't do it. Well, on Tuesday they did, and that's kind of what it looks like. But yeah, a lot of fun, in that game. The new guys, finally showed up, and Castillo's not really a new guy, but it's still nice. We're getting to the point now where like Castillo is becoming like appointment television. Like, oh, Luis Castillo's pitching today. Okay, I'm going to work my entire calendar around making sure I get to watch that. Dude's filthy. Dude's absolutely filthy. And the scary thing is, I think, is that he doesn't really even have like his best fastball yet. We saw him mostly 94, 95 in this outing. And once again, for those who were panicking about velocity, he's not throwing 98, 99 like he was in the playoffs. Well, you just saw why he doesn't have to. The fastball, the four-seamer in particular, just jumps out of his hand. It's very hard to pick up. Castillo was great. Teo, man alive, did he need those home runs? Because,
Right.
I mean, yesterday's at-bats. Now, to be fair, it was against Ohtani, so we'll give him a pass on that. But, he needed those, and it kind of looked like he was building up towards that kind of a breakout thing. There were a couple hard-hit balls, a couple actually decent at-bats before that. Then it finally just exploded, and that's impressive power to go dead center field. Early in April in Seattle, that's pretty impressive. So
yeah, I believe his 2 home runs combined went for about 860-ish feet.
Mm-hmm. I think both were 111, 112 off the bat or something like that. Just Teo's insane when he's on. I think, one of the nice things is that AJ Pollock looks really good at the plate. Even minus the 2 home runs, he's taking good at bats. He's hitting the ball hard when he does hit it. He's drawn, I think, 1 or 2 walks already. Like, Pollock looks like he has his entire career. Shocking how that happens. But
I think that he can be an actual option against righties. Now, you don't want to play him all the time against righties, but look, last year, I'm going to say this again. I think it was kind of an anomaly for him, because you look at his WRC plus marks of the last few years before 2022 against righties, and they're pretty good. He really hasn't been unusable against absolutely unusable against righties, except for last year. 139 WRC plus in 2021 against righties, 103 in 2020, 94 in 2019. That's slightly below average. 119 in 2018, 98 in 2017, 106 in 2016, 130 in 2015, and 128 in 2014. Guy has been historically really good against both righties and lefties. So I don't think that the DH spot needs to be the strict platoon eventually with, LaStella, Hummel, whoever else comes through there, Taylor Trammell, when he eventually gets healthy. I don't think that it really needs to be an either-or scenario here with AJ Pollock.
No, I think what you do want, though, is you do want to give Pollock strict days off. I don't think that you
Yeah.
really want to push AJ beyond 400 plate appearances. I think is probably around what you want him at. And if he plays every single day, he's going to get there by, before the trade deadline. So it's one of those things where if he's on a little bit of a heater, you can use him a little bit more. It'll be interesting to see. He's played 3 games in a row now. Four, three games in a row.
3 games in a row.
Right.
And, we should mention that both of his home runs came against a righty in Jaime Barria.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. So 3 games in a row, but they do have a day off. Do they play him on Friday against another righty? We'll see. LaStella hasn't. I think he's gotten one at bat in the last 3 or 4 days. So, I mean, I don't want to belabor the point on LaStella, but at some point, you know, they can't use him in the field. They won't use him in the field. There was an opportunity last night. They could have pinch hit Tom Murphy for JP Crawford, except we can't do that because Haggerty's already in the game, and we would need somebody to go play second base, and that would be LaStella in theory, right? Well, apparently not because LaStella can't throw. So to me, I don't know how much longer he's for this roster. My assumption is that he's going to get a DH game or two in this weekend series, but Pollock has certainly been the better bat. It's not really between Pollock, Hummel, and LaStella. It's hasn't been close. AJ Pollock's giving you the best at bats, and that's honestly to be expected. So really, that's not a big surprise. But they are going to have to continue to rotate through that DH because, again, Pollock's 35 years old. You don't want him playing every day. That was part of his problem last year. He played every single day for a really banged up White Sox team. So you have to manage him a little bit, but it is nice to see, that he has been just really solid throughout, hitting balls pretty hard, having good quality at bats, a couple home runs already. Pollock can be a big part of this team. You just have to manage his workload a little bit.
So I want to talk about yesterday's loss, 4-3 loss to the Angels, lose their second consecutive series, the Mariners do here. And I also want to get your thoughts just on the first week of Mariners baseball here in just a moment. But real quick, a reminder, this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. They put that in the ad. So, this episode of Locked On Mariners is also brought to you by Built Bar. The Built March Madness bracket is here, and we know you have a favorite bar or puff. So now's your time to make it count. Go to builtmarchmadness.com to vote for your favorites. And when you vote for your favorite bar or puff, you will be entered into a drawing where 50 lucky Locked On listeners will get a free box of Built. Not only that, but one Locked On fan will win a 12-month subscription to Built to have Built's best bars or puffs delivered monthly straight to your door. You got to try Built. Built, the best protein bar ever. Seriously, they're so amazing you won't think they're good for you. And what makes Built bars and puffs so good? Well, for starters, they are all high in protein, low in sugar, and covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, real chocolate. Run to BuiltMarchMadness.com right now to vote for your favorite bar or puff and pick up a box while you're there. You can vote every day in March and April, so hop in and support your pick. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you again for listen. Before we get into yesterday's 4-3 loss to the Angels and just our overall thoughts on the first week of Mariners baseball here, once again, a reminder that we are currently running a fundraiser with Feeding America. And since the last time we talked about this, we have eclipsed the $4,000 mark. We are now at $4,329 raised. We got some new donations from Steven, Don, AC, Jason. Got a couple of anonymous donations here, Darren and Matt and Rob as well. So, Colby, we're inching closer to 5K, and that is halfway to our goal of me getting some ink here. So I think it's now time to pass the mic off to you to encourage our listeners here to get us to that point and get me inked up here.
Yeah, guys, if you want to see Ty cry, then we need to get to the $10,000 mark. There are lots of ways to donate. One of them is you can scan the QR code that Ty should be putting up on the screen right now. Ty, do your job. You
I'll
can
put
scan
it up.
that
I'll put it
code.
on.
That'll take you to the donation page. There's also a link to the donation page. So if you're just listening, you can just go into the description of the episode and you can just click the link and it'll take you to our donation page. As well, if you guys want to help out, but you can't really afford to donate right now, that's totally cool. We get it. We understand. But you can still help out by subscribing to this YouTube channel. Every new subscriber Ty and I get, will be donating 10 cents to Feeding America. Which is obviously, by this point, you guys know that is our fundraiser. It is for Feeding America. 34 million Americans suffer from food insecurity every day. 9 million of them are children. We can change that. Feeding America works with wholesalers to turn every dollar raised into 10 delicious meals. So just think about that, guys. By just clicking the subscribe button, you are giving somebody who is facing food insecurities a meal just by clicking one button. So it's pretty cool. Feeding America does a great job. And, we're happy that you guys have just absolutely, blown our expectations out of the water. We set out with an original goal of $500, not really knowing how our reach is and all that stuff. And you guys, took that down by, double in the first 36 hours. And now we just keep on pushing to see the donations come flooding in still. Is really cool. It's awesome. It speaks well of you guys as a community. So please continue to help out. And if we do reach $10,000, which is a really lofty goal, we understand, but that's why it has a big payoff. Because if we reach $10,000, Ty over there will get a tattoo to commemorate the 10K. If we get there, we're about halfway there. We're 43% of the way there, and we have until the end of the month to get this done. So if you can, please donate. If you can't donate, go ahead and subscribe to this channel, and we will make a 10-cent donation on your behalf at the end of the month. And if you've done all that already, then please feel free to share this on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and whatever, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. It doesn't matter. Please feel free to do that. And let's just see how high we can get it. If we get to 10K, amazing, awesome. If not, it's still going to be an incredible fundraiser because you
Yep.
guys have already surpassed our wildest expectations. So thank you so much, Feeding America. Because of you guys, we've raised over 43,000 meals for people who are suffering from food insecurity. That's a massive win for everybody. So let's get to 10K just so we can see Ty cry. But just let's just keep on donating meals and keep on helping people feed the hungry because that's what this really is all about.
And I've heard that if we get to 15K, there's a non-zero chance that Shohei Ohtani will sign with the Seattle Mariners. So,
well, we're supposed to keep that on the DL, but it has been suggested.
I
somebody.
called Ohtani's people called me, et cetera, et cetera,
Mhm.
et cetera. And
There's some stuff in the works there, sure.
Yeah.
And if we do and he doesn't sign, well, that says a lot about Shohei's character now, doesn't it?
Exactly. Clearly,
Mm.
Shohei Ohtani doesn't care about charity. So and that's another way that you could see me cry if the Mariners sign Shohei Ohtani. So speaking of Ohtani, he could have yesterday's game as long as he promises to sign with the Mariners in about 8 months. So this was probably the worst start I've seen Ohtani have against the Mariners. Like he did not have his stuff at all. He walks 4 guys,
Yep.
and then a couple of hit by
2.
pitches. Yeah.
Mhm.
His command was all over the place. And that's what makes this one so disappointing because they still only got a run off of him. Just a single run off of him. And they had an opportunity for more in the first inning when he was still trying to find himself.
Mhm.
Ty France makes a toot bland, to put it lightly. And
Probably cost them at least a run. And what was the final score, Ty? Oh, did they lose by a run?
they lost by a run.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been second and third with no outs for Cal Raleigh, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Second with a struggling Ohtani who hadn't retired a batter yet.
Yeah.
He had a chance to put that game away early, and Ty France steals third base, and all of a sudden he thinks he's Ichiro, and he's get thrown out by a hefty margin at home plate.
Mm,
And at that point, you need a hit to score your second run, and even Otani struggling is still really hard to get a hit off of.
yeah.
And the Mariners proved unable to do that. So sometimes you got to be smart. And that's a big mistake by Ty France, and it did come back to bite the Mariners. So it is a bummer they couldn't score more runs, but you could see Otani slowly start to figure it out. And by his last 2 innings out there, he had dialed it in. And at that point, you were just grateful that you had gotten his pitch count up to the point where you had a shot against their bullpen.
So before we get into the overall negatives of this game, I want to give a shout out to Eugenio Suarez, who keeps on hitting for this team. He's
Mhm.
one of the few consistent bats in the Mariners lineup right now. Couple more ribs for him in this game. He's been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of saw how good he looked in the WBC and how he was hitting there, and he just kind of carried it over. And Gino's one of those guys who, um, is kind of a streaky hitter. He'll go on these long hot streaks, and then he'll go 0 for 25 with 11 strikeouts, and people will panic. And then all of a sudden he'll go, oh well, now I'm, 3 straight multi-hit games. I've hit 2 home runs in the last game here, and blah, blah, blah. So Gino's really a streaky hitter. But he's on one of those hot streaks right now. And it's good to see because he's driving the ball to the opposite field a lot. He's pulling the ball. Still hasn't hit a home run yet, which is somewhat surprising. He's gotten close a
Well,
couple
that's
times.
the thing, right? Is like he's doing his damage without hitting the ball over
Mhm.
the wall. So once he starts doing that, I mean, look out.
Yeah, we talked about Gino as being like an obvious regression candidate, and like he's not going to be a 4-win player again. Blah blah blah. Well, if he keeps playing like this, he's a 6-win guy. So
Yeah.
who knows? But obviously he'll slump at some point. It's just his game. But for now, he's been great.
Mhm.
And really, Julio's been great. Didn't have a great game yesterday, but Julio's been great so far. Cal's been great so far.
Yeah.
Gino's been great so far. Ty France has been great so far.
Yep.
It's just they haven't really found that fifth, sixth guy yet in the lineup, and Teo's shown glimpses here. Pollock's putting together good at bats. I still continue to believe that Colton Wong is going to hit because his at bats are really good. He
Mm.
just can't quite seem to find the
Had
grass right
another big
now.
walk
Yeah,
yesterday.
he's not chasing, right? He's fouling pitches off, he's being pesky, he's hitting line shots that are hooking foul, like, he's close. Like, I still
Mhm.
have supreme confidence in Colton Wong, and it's just kind of, you're kinda looking for that one guy. The Mariners have had 3 games that could have easily swung the other direction if they had gotten a big hit from one of their big players.
Mhm.
Julio didn't get it done. Cal didn't get it done. Ty hasn't gotten it done. So the margin of error for the Mariners, if you're going to play 1-run games, you have to get those big hits. You just haven't gotten them yet. So overall, I mean, yeah, 2 series losses isn't great, but I
There are some
aside from the
positives. Yeah.
aside from the one game where they were just awful against Cleveland, well, one game against Cleveland, one game against Anaheim, where they were just
Yeah.
sloppy and ugly. Uh, they're playing pretty clean baseball. Just they haven't gotten that big hit when they needed it. And yesterday was even a little more painful because Chris Flexen was so good. And honestly, Andres Munoz was really good, and he just got
The BABIP
the
gods
BABIP.
weren't.
Just
Yeah.
like Otani and Trout drive in what end up being the game-winning runs on 2 baseballs where the exit velocity was under 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I just like,
Of
what do you
course.
do but throw your hands up? It's just one of those days, and it
Yeah.
sucks, but it does happen.
Yeah. We gotta give another shout out to Chris Flexen. He was
Mhm.
about as good as you could hope
Sensational.
for. He makes the one mistake to a hoppy for the 2-run home run, and then after that, I mean, his command was a little shaky here and there. He had a couple pairs of walks or one pair of walks to Otani and Trout. Was the other one on him?
S Seemed somewhat intentional. Like, the
Yeah,
Mariners seemed very clear that they were not gonna let Trout and Otani beat them, and they still found a way to do that. That's how
yeah,
good those 2 guys are. But,
yeah.
the fun thing about Gil or about,
Flexen.
Flexen's start,
Yeah,
he had the same number of whiffs as Otani,
yeah, yeah.
and
I saw that.
I think his fastball generated, like, 12 whiffs.
Yeah,
Now
he had a
Chris
really
Flexen's
nice curve
fastball,
yesterday too.
yeah, Flexen's stuff looked pretty good. It looked closer to what it did in 2020, 2021 rather
Mhm.
than it did last year. He looked good. He looked like a guy who belongs in a rotation, and that's pretty much all you can hope for, while you hope Robbie Ray gets back to you. But,
Yeah.
yeah, Flexen was really
That was a
good.
number 4 level, like, performance. Like, that was
Looked
a
like a number 3 to me yesterday,
yeah. Like,
but, like, that's probably as good as it gets for Flex.
yeah, no, agreed. Agreed.
But
That's probably
if
the
you
best that
get
you can hope for out of him.
yeah, if you get that outing, let's say that Robbie Ray misses 10 starts, if you get that outing or anything close to it for 8 of the 10 starts he makes, you're gonna be in good shape.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that's hopefully that's a good sign of things to come, and hopefully they can navigate that'll help them navigate this injury to Robbie Ray pretty well here if Flexen can actually give them some value. Not just, simply get by. He can actually give you some legitimate quality starts like he did yesterday. That would be
Mhm.
massive. So,
Uh,
um,
one one more quick shout out. I don't know if
mhm.
we're jumping to our next segment or not, but how about the first week performances by Penn Murphy and Trevor Gott?
Yeah.
Both those guys have been surprisingly good, and those
Hey,
are 2
Gabe
guys that
Spire too, man.
yep,
Gabe
yeah,
Spire's
throw
been
Spire
great
in there
too.
too,
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. Those are middle relievers right now, and they are pitching better than Brash and Munoz right now, like,
sure.
obviously. And, Brash I feel like Brash comes into these, like, medium high leverage situations, he's like, "Nah, let's make this a high leverage spot just so I can strike some dudes out." Um, because, yeah, I mean, those first 2 at bats and then the wild pitch, you're just sitting there
Right.
like, "Oh, boy."
Yeah, the walks, the second walks that I was thinking about with Otani and Trout, those were Brash,
Those were
correct?
Brash, yeah, and it's just
Those were both walks, right? Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like, "Ooh,
And
boy."
then he comes back and he strikes out
Like,
what?
"Oh, yeah,
All
there he
3
is."
guys? All 3 guys
No.
or gets a pop
He
out?
strikes out Renfro and
Right.
Drury on just filthy I
Oh
think
yeah, and then he got
Renfro was the filthy slider, and then he dotted up 98 on the outside corner
yeah,
to, Drury.
and then he got Lamb
Lamb.
to fly out to
Jake Lamb
Kelnick.
killed the Mariners this series.
Yeah,
Looked pretty good, didn't he?
when Lamb yeah, yeah. When Lamb stepped up to the plate though against Brash with second and third, 2 outs, I was like, "Oh, here it is. Here comes the dagger." So I was
Yeah,
pleasantly surprised to see the
right.
nonchalant fly out there.
And, Munoz, make no mistake, Munoz hasn't been as dominant as he was at the end of last year, but he was
Hmm.
fine yesterday. He really was. That's just tough luck.
Yeah. All right. So tomorrow we're going to be doing a post game show, our first post game show of the year. So that's exciting because it's opening day at Progressive Field for the Guardians. We're going to be previewing that series between the M's and Guards in just a moment. But real quick, a reminder: this episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by So Rare. Our new sponsor, So Rare, is a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 MLB teams. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, So Rare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards and there's no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance, collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next level competitions and rewards. So Rare recently partnered with MLB All-Stars Juan Soto and, yes, Mariners outfielder Julio Rodriguez to serve as brand ambassadors. MLB game weeks happen twice weekly and span a 3 to 4 day cycle, and at the end of game weeks, So Rare MLB managers who rank at or near the top of their leaderboards win a variety of rewards, which can include So Rare scarcity cards, game tickets, merchandise, signed jerseys, and VIP experiences like meeting MLB stars. Prizes may vary depending on the competition. Head to sorare.com/locked on. That's spelled SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/locked on to start playing today. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. Thank you again for making us your first listen. So the Mariners are already set to finish their season series with the Cleveland Guardians. They're going to be in Cleveland starting tomorrow all the way through Sunday for a quick 3-game weekend series with the team that took 3 of 4 from them at T-Mobile Park, spoiled their opening week series there at T-Mo, and we know the deal with this Guardians team. They're incredibly pesky. They're going to be incredibly annoying from an offensive standpoint. play good defense, they pitch well, they do all the little things right, and that means that the Mariners need to be on their P's and Q's a lot more than they were this past week. So, where do you want to start with this, Colby, as we look ahead to this upcoming series?
Well, I guess the good news would be is that you avoid Shane Bieber, so you only had to
Yeah,
face Shane once this year. Although ironically, Bieber was the only pitcher that you beat last time you played Cleveland. So, yeah, you get to see Savali, you get to see Quantrill, and you get to see Plesac.
yep,
Instead, the Mariners, of course, countering with Gilbert, Marco, and Kirby. So,
yep.
pitching matchups. We do this every series. Oh, the pitching matchups kind of favor Seattle this time around. We're not falling for that trap anymore. No.
I'm
So
not doing
yeah.
take to rake.
No, no, no. So yeah. Like you said, the Mariners are gonna have to play clean baseball. They've done a pretty good job of that over the last 2 days. But it gets amplified more with Cleveland. They run well, they put the ball in play consistently, they don't strike out, and they play really good defense. Like you have to beat Cleveland. They're not going to beat themselves. So the Mariners have to play clean and they have to get that big hit. And it doesn't have to be with runners in scoring position, but somebody for the love of God hit a 2-run home run in a 2-1 game. Like
Yeah.
let's get this thing done. Let's score some runs. So good signs of life from the offense the last couple of days. So we'll see if that can carry over. Cleveland again. That bullpen is really good. So you have to get to the starters. You have to get to them early. And I sat in that cold stadium and watched Savali, slam the door on the Mariners for 7 innings. So you got to find a way to get runs early, and you got to play clean baseball. And it really is as simple as that.
And please just take advantage of the fact that you're going up against Aaron frickin' Savali and Zach frickin' Plesac. Like, come on, guys. Like, look, those are like the Guardians equivalents of Chris Flexen, which, yeah,
Yep.
at Flexen's best, that's good pitcher. Yeah, like we saw yesterday. But, you know, you know.
You should score 3 or 4 against them at
Yeah,
least.
yeah, you know what the deal is here. So,
Right.
yeah, it's just like you said, you got to play clean baseball here, and you got to be able to string together some hits. And you get the leadoff double, get the guy over. Put a ball in the gap, put him. Like you need more than just one hit an inning, like because like we saw on opening day, right? They get 6 singles or 6 base hits in general over the first 6 innings of the game. Don't do anything with them. That can't happen. You're not going to be able to win a lot of games doing that. They were able to win that game on opening day, but you got to be able to get some consistent offense throughout the course of an inning. You can't just have one guy doing the whole thing. So
Mhm.
that's really my thing here, is just like you got to have a big inning in one of these games. At least like you have to be able to put up 3 in one frame
Yeah.
and create some separation and take some pressure off of your freaking pitching staff to be utter like absolutely perfect, because that's been kind of the case here, really, outside of the blowout win against the Angels. And I think this is kind of why the pitching struggles have been magnified, because the pressure is on them to be absolutely perfect. The pressure is on them to be exactly what they've been the last couple of years, which you can't expect that from that unit every time out. That's just not going to happen. That's not realistic. So
Right.
you gotta be able to put some ground in between you and the Guardians here, and
Yep.
not allow them, because they're the kind of team that can string together some at bats, change the momentum of a game very quickly, and put pressure on your guys.
Right. And to me, the key to the series is Seattle's defense. We saw Cleveland just take advantage of every single misstep that the defense had. We saw them steal bases almost at will against the Mariners. Like pitchers have to do a better job of keeping guys honest on the base pass. Now that's a problem league wide right now. They're still trying to figure out how to slow down running games. Um, I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen more pitch outs. But
Yeah,
it right now, everybody's running wild, but Cleveland will take advantage of that. And Seattle's had issues holding runners, in recent years anyways. So they're going to take advantage of that. So you have to play defense. You have to turn the double play. You can't drop the transfer and allow Ahmed Rosario to come to the plate or whatever. You have to turn that double play when you
yeah.
have that opportunity. You have to catch the fly ball. You have to play good, solid defense to beat this Cleveland team, and because they're not going to do it, they're not going to beat themselves. So It really is all about just playing really good, clean baseball, and you have a shot. You can hang with anybody. You play good baseball, and whether or not they do remains to be seen. But good news, at least weather wise, is that it's supposed to be sunny all weekend in Cleveland with highs
No
around the
snow
50s.
outs? Oh my
No,
god. Wow.
well, now keep in mind that's the iPhone weather app, and that is spotty at best. But right now it's
Mm.
showing completely sunny skies and highs in the high 40s to low 50s. So pretty good weather for Cleveland in April. Um, so yeah, take advantage. No excuses. Go
Yep.
out there, try and find a way to win your first series of the year. Build some momentum as you go to Chicago.
And as Jerry Dipoto said today on Brock and Salk, control the frickin' zone. You're giving
Yeah.
up too many walks, and you're not like we talked about this 2 days ago that they're taking a lot of pitches down the pipe right now, man. Like
Mhm.
let's put some balls in play
Right.
here. Let's get
Control the
aggressive later
zone.
on in the at bat. Let's
Right.
let's get on base.
Control the zone doesn't mean try to walk.
Yeah,
It means when somebody gives you a center cut fastball, you swing at it
you
and you
do
hit it
damage
hard.
with it. Yeah.
Right. Control the zone is, hey, I'm not gonna yeah, I'm up 2-1. I'm not gonna chase that slider that's right on the outside corner. I can't do anything with that.
Well, yeah,
That's control the zone.
control the zone is like, yeah, you see this here, right? This is
Yeah.
my territory. This is my territory.
Right. I'm not gonna
I
help
live
you.
here. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, Control the Zone also the name of a really good podcast, which you can subscribe to by clicking the
Uh,
little or by scanning the QR
there,
code right above
right
Ty's
up there.
head. So
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. You should do that.
I've also heard rumors that if we get to like 250 subs on our Patreon show, Shohei Otani might sign here in the winter. So, just
Yeah.
we're
Keyword
working
might.
through some things with the agency, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I
Oh,
we it's been hinted. Let's put it that way.
oh, show. Oh, hold on. I'm getting a call here.
Mm,
Shohei.
yeah.
Oh, he said 300 subs.
Oof.
300,
All right.
350.
Well, we'll see what we
All
can
right,
do.
you're getting a little greedy here,
All
Shohei.
right, this bit's getting too old. I'm gonna mute Ty. So yeah, I I think that's pretty much it for today's episode. Ty, anything to add?
Yeah, the one thing that I have to add here is that's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Trident Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez. That's DANEGNZLZ, and Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well at Locked On Mariners. That's one word, Locked On Mariners. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. And thank you again for making us your first listen. Now, for your second listen, check out Locked On Fantasy Baseball. Win your league by listening to Matt and Dom every day as they bring you the best fantasy draft strategies. It's free and available wherever you get podcasts, just like us, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And with that, have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you tomorrow after the game. Peace.